when he talked yesterday about penalties, he talked about two things. One, he talked about Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator, and said they had to have some real tough conversations. When everyone met, the coordinators, the coaches, they all met around the big table, right? They had tough conversations. Okay. Uncomfortable conversations. Okay, good. You allow 42 points? Uncomfortable, whatever you want to call it. It shouldn't be that uncomfortable if you're all in the football world and you understand that people got to be held accountable and figuring out what the hell happened, even if it is the Kansas City Chiefs. The other thing he talked about when it came to uncomfortable conversations and harsher conversations was penalties. As the most penalized team in the league, again, by 10, a margin of 10, Nick Sirianni talked about how this team needs to be more disciplined because what teams are starting to do is realize that the Eagles will commit that penalty and hand you free yards. So why not try to draw them off sides? Why not try to draw somebody, closer to the offensive line with a hard count? Why not try to do a little hand fighting down the sidelines if you're a wide receiver and a defensive back? Why not try? Because you know what? The Eagles are disciplined. Let them make that mistake. Let them give you yards as opposed to you having to take them. Yeah, that sounds like actually a pretty decent game plan if you're the opposing head coach. Something I would certainly look at saying, oh, wait, hold on a second. I don't have to do as much because they'll make a mistake? Sure, come on down. So Nick Sirianni yesterday talked about how they're addressing those penalties and the concerns amongst the team.
We talk about it a lot. Again, my job is to make sure this team is better in every aspect, and penalties is an issue right now. And so we're doing the necessary steps that we're to take. Last week I explained to you guys a couple of the other things that we were doing, a couple of the additional things that we were doing when we were talking about penalties. Today it was a little bit rougher conversation when we went in there today. It was just a little bit harsher conversation about how the penalties need to stop. And what we need to do to make the penalties stop, and all the different situations. I'm not sure there's many teams spend as much time on this as we are. But here's the thing: we know when you have penalties called on you, and when you're committing penalties, because we're committing them. It's not like they're happening and we're doing them. And
they are doing them. We all see them. There's a lot of them. It's no secret. Anyway, you should be spending a lot of time on this. You know why? Because you're committing the most in the league at a historic rate. So, yes, I would assume that you're the team that's spending the most time on penalties because you commit the most of them. So, good kudos to you. If you would have said, we really don't pay attention to that, we don't see it as a problem, then I'd be even more worried about the near future of this football team than I am right now. But that's what needs to happen, Nick. That's what needs to happen with this football team. If you have people saying, well, hold on, is it discipline matter? Is it how's a coach going to make sure that his players aren't committing the same penalties time and time again, whether that be on the offensive side of the football, Andre Dillard, or whether that be on the defensive side of the football, Derek Barnett? How are you going to make sure that these don't continue to happen? How are you going to drill it into their heads? And the only time to do that is losing playing time. I believe Derek Barnett only played 58% of the snaps in Sunday's loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that's right around the time, the amount that he usually plays. So if you're Nick Sirianni, if you're Jonathan Gannon, and it doesn't work again, after these harsh conversations, after these stern talking tos, then if it doesn't work against Carolina, then what? You're already down a couple of guys there on the offensive line, so I don't know what you're going to do with Andre Dillard. You're already down a couple of guys on your defensive line, Brandon Graham out for the year. Josh Sweat has started to emerge. He started to show you the flashes. Hopefully this is just the warm-up lap before he really starts to turn it on. Fletcher Cox has been invisible. Penalties haven't really been there, but just talent-wise, you haven't seen him. Nick Sirianni was asked about Fletcher Cox yesterday during his news conference, and he gave you the classic, he's doing a lot of things don't show up on the stat sheet. I'm not seeing him double team nearly as much as I remember in years past, even earlier, the first two games of the season even. Javon Hargrave has been incredible, but I don't automatically, as Nick Sirianni did, attribute that to the fact that Fletcher Cox is getting double teamed. So to me, look, they have a lot of corrections to make. They, offensively speaking, when it came to execution, play calling, and all that, I feel like they, again, executed a good game plan. They did a lot of things well. when it came to how they played against Kansas City Chiefs. If they can copy that and paste it into this game against the Panthers, they're going to be good. If their defense corrects a couple of big things here, they're going to be good. Getting into the backfield, getting tackles for loss, Fletcher Cox getting his first tackle for loss of the season, which hasn't even happened yet. Then you can talk about potentially beating the Carolina Panthers. You're playing some good football, and they played some good football against the Dallas Cowboys, a team that blew the Eagles out of the water. So this is something that the Eagles are really going to have to get back to the drawing board on when it comes to the defensive side of things here. And when it comes to the penalties, you can't give a team like Carolina, who is just a good football team and a well-coached team. Yeah, I said it about Matt Rule, former Temple coach who left us for Baylor. But they're a well-coached team and they're a well-disciplined team. So they got to be very careful about what they're going to do against the Carolina Panthers and make sure when they get back to the drawing board, they come out with the right answers, especially on the defensive side of things.